What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is Kevin Jackowitz here with the Kaged Review, and this is going to be the rock review section of the Kaged Review, where I deal with rock and metal music. And continuing on with my series of favorite bands and favorite albums, I decided to go with my top 10 favorite bands, period. And it's the kind of thing where you have to give me some slack because I change favorite bands so often. My music style changes, and therefore there's very few bands that are going to be my favorite band throughout my entire life. I'll listen to one band every day for a while and then shift to something else. So like I said, just cut me some slack with that. But as of right now, this moment, there are several new bands, to me anyway, that I've just fallen in love with, think they're great, and then there's of course a few that have really stood the test of time, and of course they're going to be higher up on the list. But I'm going to get right into this and start with what I think is number 10. And this band I saw in concert a while back. Actually, it's been several years now. Me and my girlfriend went to see them, and it was a big multi-band concert. You had 3 stages, 2 outside, 1 inside. And one of the headliners for the outside stages was In This Moment. A female-led band, absolutely great band. Maria Brink, I think she has a history of theater, and she's very theatrical on stage. She's created a lot of very cool imagery for her shows and a really good stage presence. And when I first heard them, they were a little bit more straight up metal. Heavy guitar riffs, really good double bass drums, and a little bit more in-your-face raw vocals. They've gotten a little bit more computerized as they've come to grow as a band, and it works for them. They have a signature sound that they found, and they still are all amazing musicians, that is for sure. They've just added a little bit of computer alterations and synthesizers, but you know, just some unique distortion as well. And I remember the first song I heard from them was Beautiful Tragedy, and still my favorite song from them, honestly. Beautiful Tragedy, when I heard it, it took me by surprise, and it just stuck. And I don't think they've made a better song than that yet, but they have made songs that are just amazing. When you talk about songs like Horror, Big Bad Wolf, Adrenalize is one of my all-time favorites from them. I love Adrenalize. It really gets the blood pumping. Blood is another good one from them. So they have a really good catalog of songs that I gravitate towards. And I think part of my fascination with the band is, like I said, seeing them live and seeing the stage presence. It's really something special. So, In This Moment is number 10. Number 9 on this list is a band that is new to me. They're not necessarily new, but they are new to me. I heard them and I was absolutely floored. The band is called Semblant, and I actually was just searching YouTube music, and it was a song suggestion. And so I checked it out, and man, did it grab a hold of me. Incinerate is just a tour de force. It is strong, heavy, fast, growling, got really good vocals. This band is actually female-led and male-led. They have a female and male lead singer, and they do some harmonizing. Really unique. They're a Latin American band, and you don't see too many Latin bands that are really heavy metal like this. So it was really cool to see it. If you've never seen this band before, my God, they're so good. Number 8 is kind of an all-time classic for me. Judas Priest is a band that I really loved way back when I first started listening to rock and metal music. One of the first tapes I ever had was Sin After Sin. And Sin After Sin was this really classic, really mixed bag of songs. You had Sinner, which was this like 8 or 9 minute anthem song. Dissonant Aggressor was much shorter, much more powerful. You had a really good groove with Raw Deal was an amazing song. and Call for the Priest, Let Us Pray had some insane vocals. I mean, for that time. So Sin After Sin really set the tone for me as far as getting into rock. My first tape I ever bought was Quiet Riot, and that kind of started me off, but I think Judas Priest is what sealed the deal at that time. And I couldn't have gone with much better because they have survived for over 50 years in the music industry, which honestly usually chews people up and shits them out. And they have been able to stay relevant for at least 4 decades. That's pretty impressive. The 5th decade here, you know, they're getting up there. They've still made some good music, but unfortunately I think that Rob Halford's vocals suffer a little bit because, you know, he's in his upper 60s. It's going to happen. But, I mean, even into the Tim Ripper Owens years where they pulled out Jugulator and Demolition, I mean, these guys just, they made some songs that were absolutely in your face. I just did a favorite albums for Judas Priest specifically, and I talked about how, you know, some of those songs, if they had just left the songs alone and had them be the music that they made and not added the distortion and the electrical, you know, beginning and endings, I think it would have been much better and probably some of the best work they've ever done. But Judas Priest, like I said, stood the test of time, absolutely amazing. Number 7 on here is going to be Children of Bodom, and Children of Bodom is a band that they're just as smash mouth as you get. I heard them through my girlfriend who was listening to them. She goes to metal concerts, and she turned me on to them. And I first heard, I'm trying to remember the name of the song that it was the first one I heard. I want to say it was Living Deadbeat, and it really takes your breath away. These guys, every musician in this band is amazing. 2 amazing guitarists. They do the kind of new version of the old school Judas Priest dueling guitars. Amazingly fast drummer. And they do a lot, the lead singer does a lot of growling, screaming. But, I mean, these guys, it works for them. They're very impactful. In Your Face is another really, really good song that I absolutely love from these guys. So if you haven't heard Children of Bodom and you're into heavy, heavy metal, check these guys out. So number 6 on this list is very new to me, but I just can't stop playing them. I can't stop playing, like, literally every day. I have a New Year's Day song on. Malevolence is a great song, and I can't get that out of my head. Kill or Be Killed, very, very good. I think that because they're so new and, you know, they have a little bit of a library for me to check out, it's fun for me to go in and see all these videos that they've made. And honestly, one thing that I really like about the band is they are also very theatrical. Another female-led band, Ash Costello leads, and she's got a very good image. She kind of has the Harley Quinn parted colored hair. She's red on one side, black on the other. But their performances on stage and in video, they come up with these really cool concepts. One was like a Suicide Squad concept where she actually was Harley Quinn, and the band were like other members of the DC universe, you know, Joker, Riddler, Two-Face. That was pretty cool. They had another video where it was kind of like the Mad Max Fury Road thing. Just a really, really cool idea for some of these videos. Very creative. And that's another reason I really like them. So New Year's Day, number 6. Number 5 on the list is a band that's really stood the test of time, and unfortunately one of the members has already passed away, that being Dimebag Darrell, which means I'm talking about Pantera. Pantera is thrash as thrash can get, man. And I'm talking about in the 90s, they come out with Vulgar Display of Power, and jeez, man, every fucking song on there was in your face. Everything from Walk to By Demons Be Driven. I mean, just every song. But then I went back from there and I found their Cowboys from Hell and the song Cemetery Gates, which I thought was absolutely amazing. And Pantera, they've held strong the whole time they were playing, even up into, you know, the Great Southern Trendkill, which was really brutal. I mean, that CD was, it pulled no punches, especially when you have a song called Suicide Note. But it was really, really good, man. I mean, just amazing work. So Pantera, they have definitely earned a top spot in my favorites for all time. Number 4 is Slipknot. And Slipknot, I think I had their first real taste when the song Duality hit the radio. And Slipknot, it's nice because they're heavily played on the radio, but they don't make music for the radio. They just make good music. It's intricate, it's complicated. All the musicians are really good. And it works. So I am a huge fan of Slipknot. I bought the Subliminal Verses, and dude, it just changed my outlook on what music could be. It really did. These guys are phenomenal. Wait and Bleed, I went back and I heard, you know, something older than Subliminal Verses, and still just amazingly good. And they only got better with time. And I think it's really cool that they had the gimmick that they did, kind of like the New Age Guar with the masks and the face paint and things like that. It just worked. I mean, they looked the part. They really did. So, Slipknot, number 4. Number 3 on my list is a band that I didn't hear about until, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 years ago. And I actually first heard their music watching wrestling, and CM Punk used to come out to one of their songs called This Fire Burns. And if you know anything about that song or CM Punk, we're talking about Killswitch Engage. And Killswitch is just an amazing, amazing band. They really are. Everything I have heard from them, starting from This Fire Burns, they did a cover of Rodney James Dio's Holy Diver, which was really damn good. These guys just don't miss the mark. There was quite a while there where I couldn't get My Curse out of my head, and I would play it literally every day. And they have that kind of lasting impact, and that's what I like about these guys. And one of the really cool things is they're very metal. Like, they growl, and it's fast, and it's heavy, and it can be intricate, but they're not always sending this like negative message. Sometimes they actually have very positive messages they send in their music, just in a very hard riff. And I think that's cool because much like I was doing a review for a baby metal song where I'm talking about, you know, people have the stigma about what metal is. It doesn't necessarily have to be that. I listen to the music, the tone, the rhythm, the guitar work, the drum work, the musicianship between the players in the band. You know, that's what makes metal to me. And honestly, if you can send a positive message through your music, then hey, I'm all for it. Go for it. So I think that's cool. I do. I like that. Number 2 on this list is, I think, one of the all-time great bands. Not only are they something that has been played on radio a lot, and I mean throughout their storied career, you've had a lot of singles that these guys have made, but they are not a band that makes music for the radio. They are extremely intricate. These guys are incredibly talented, and I am talking about Tool. I first heard Tool back with Undertow. I think that's where a lot of people who listen to Tool got their start. Undertow is just absolutely amazing. But my real love for Tool, I think, came with Lateralis. Lateralis, that whole album was crazy good. I loved Schism. Schism was really... Schism was really amazing. And then you had songs like Ticks and Leeches was a super heavy percussive song. I don't know that I've heard too many songs that match the percussion in Ticks and Leeches. Danny Carey is a freak of nature on drums. He always has been, he always will be. He is just amazingly talented. And one of the really cool things about the lead singer is that he just can hold notes incredibly long. Like this guy has, I don't know, like 3 lungs or something, because he can just hold notes forever. And it's really cool. But their music, it's usually off timing. It's not like your standard 2/4/4/4 type of song. No, these guys are very unique when it comes to the structure of their songs. And that's why I think it's really interesting that so much of their stuff has been played on radio, because honestly, radio play is pretty basic shit, honestly. So it really says something about the talent for these guys to make songs this good and this complex and still get the notoriety that I think they deserve. So, Tool, number 2. And before we get to number 1, I want to get just a couple of honorable mentions for songs that I really like lately, or bands. Fight, which was Rob Halford leaving Judas Priest and starting his own band called Fight. And they only released 2 albums, really. And absolutely great albums. Honestly, both of them were really good. The first one was just very fast metal, the high pitch, typical Rob Halford vocals. The next one was not quite the typical Rob Halford vocals. It was where he started getting that voice drop. And it was just some amazing music. And if you've never heard A Small Deadly Space, the whole album Small Deadly Space is amazing. Baby Metal is another honorable mention here. It was something that I've been recently turned on to, where it mixes Japanese culture, dance, pop rock, and extremely hard metal all in the same band. And it's kind of hard to explain. It's definitely a new wave going on in metal right now, but I think it's really cool, and they send a positive message, and the music is insanely good. And that's really what matters. So, Baby Metal, very cool. Another band that I have to give an honorable mention to is Trivium. There's been a couple of songs lately that I just literally have to play every day. The Heart from Your Hate is a really damn good song. The guitar work is amazing in that song. So Trivium has really caught my attention. They've grown as a band, and that's the big thing right there, is they're definitely not the same band I heard when I heard them live, say, 5, 6, 7 years ago, whatever it was. And the other band that I want to give an honorable mention to is Metallica, because they are one of the seriously longer lasting bands. Their longevity speaks for itself. They've been amazing. They do have a lot of very intricate work. They have a lot of 8, 9, 10-minute anthems. And I think that's really cool that they try to build their musicianship like that, and it really is based around the music. I had never had any problem with them starting to do videos or anything like that. They were called sellouts. I didn't care. The music is the music, and their music is amazing. So, with that in mind, moving on to number 1. And that brings me to number 1, and honestly, I don't think that I could have picked a different band. At this point, Tool used to be my number 1. I used to say Tool was my favorite band. And they're down to number 2 now, because I've just listened to Disturbed so much, so often, and had such an impact with their music that I have to put them at number 1. David Draymond is an amazing songwriter. He touches on a lot of real world issues. He touches on politics. He touches on losing friends. Things that people actually deal with and have to go through. And I love that. I love music that sends a message. But I also love music that you're not going to be able to pick up a guitar and play. Their guitarist, he's been quoted as saying he's not going to make a song that you can play on Guitar Hero. And I love that. He's a damn good guitarist, and he tries to showcase his abilities in everything that he does. Their drummer is amazing. He's a really good double bass drummer. He really is. He's got some really cool timing with a lot of his songs. And ever since the very first album with Disturbed, you know, when they came out with Stupefy and Down with the Sickness, I was absolutely sucked in, and it stayed that way. And they took a hiatus for several years and then came back finally. But me and my girlfriend went to their very last show before they stopped playing, and we thought that that was going to be it. So it was kind of like bragging rights that we actually got to see that show. And David Draymond, Disturbed, they put on a great show live, a lot of energy. So yeah, I had to put Disturbed number one. I think that Indestructible is a remarkable album where not one song on that album was even a lull. It was just absolute perfection the whole way through. Loved it. So, Disturbed wins the top spot. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my top 10. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, share. Let me know what you think in the comments below. My name is Kevin Jackwitz. Kaged Nation out.